years ago, I happened to be scrutineering at the town election, at the civic municipal election, and Barry Rutledge was there, and he was also a scrutineer for another person. And Barry, we got to know each other that day. I never knew Barry before that, but I found out that he had been an OPP officer all his life, and of course I had been a police officer with Barry and with Metro, and we got talking, and I'm not sure what part of the day it was, but he uttered those words to me: "I'm looking for something to do." And very shortly after that, I got Barry corralled and into the Rotary Club. And Barry, you've been with us now for 12 years, and you're a wonderful guy. You do a lot for our club. We really appreciate the work that you do, and it's wonderful at Christmas time when your wife comes and sees the elf at the Quiet Santa. You've been a member of our train committee since the very beginning, but you're also always there. You're what being a Rotarian is all about. And Barry, we appreciate everything you do for this club. A couple of quick thoughts on the last 12 years.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, Al, for that very emotional update. Yeah, it's hard to believe 12 years have just vanished, and every one of them very enjoyable, and meeting up every week, and seeing new members come in, and some that have left that we had good relationships with those, and they moved on to different things. So thanks again, Al. And yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you for the scrutineer positions. Yeah.
And if I recall, my candidate won the mayor's race. Your candidate lost, but the overall winner in the whole thing was the Rotary Club, because we got you. And I also want to add a shout out to Eleanor. Eleanor, tomorrow, 12 years in our Rotary Club, and Eleanor, you are one of the strong members of our club. You're always there, and we really appreciate what you've done over the years. And I love your comments about the meetings, especially the winter meetings early in the morning. And people, we don't get too many complaints, but if it's a bad morning, Eleanor always brightens it up. She says, "Oh, I just love the meetings. I love being here." And Eleanor, it's great to see you this morning, and thank you so much for what you've done for our club in the last 12 years. You're a great example of what being a Rotarian is all about. Couple of quick comments.
Thank you, Al. I wonder where the 12 years have gone. But I always enjoyed the meetings. It gives me a pep to my step for the week.
Oh, very well put. And that's what I love about Eleanor. She's always got something to say that just brightens you and gets you going in the morning. And very quickly, President Dean, if I may, and to all of our members here and our guests, it's Bell Let's Talk Day, understanding the mental health issues. A 5-cent donation is made for every activity on. Now, let me get this right, because I'm not up on all these things. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok, text, messages, and calls. And it's about raising awareness for mental health. And when they do this, they raise millions. So every time you get on your computer today, or your cell phone, or whatever you do, you're contributing to this, and it's a very worthwhile cause, and it's most needed right now, most needed in our community. So President Dean, that's all I have this morning, but it's so nice to be able to thank long-term members in our club and welcome a strong supporter of our club. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Al. I would like to add to Let's Talk Day. If you have an iPhone, please turn off your iMessage. iMessages will not count towards the donations. So one more big announcement before we get our guest speaker on. Ann Smith sent out a letter yesterday from the library. And as of next week, we were going to go back to in-person meetings at the library again. Same rules are going to apply as last time. So we will have to do our screening before, we will have to have the vaccination. We will still be running hybrid for those who cannot attend, but be ready to drive next week and see people in person again. Jen, would you like to introduce our speaker today?
Thank you, President Dean. Howard Courtney is the founding pastor of Innisfil Community Church and a good friend of the Rotary Club of Innisfil. In 2021, Howard was recognized with the prestigious achievement, the Order of the Red Cross. And today he will be telling us a little bit more about that. Please welcome Howard.
Thank you, Jen. It's certainly my privilege to be here with the Rotary Club today. When former Mayor Barb contacted me and heard that I received the Order of Red Cross, one of the highest recognitions in the Red Cross, she asked if I would speak concerning my journey with the Red Cross. And I certainly was very happy to be able to do that. So my earliest involvement with the Red Cross began when I was in elementary school. In grade 7, I believe it was, I began helping out at the local blood donor clinics in Orangeville, my hometown. When we first got engaged there, we were helping the nursing staff to unload the beds and equipment from the trucks that they'd bring out to set up the blood donor clinics. And then we served refreshments when the blood donors went through the process. And as we served refreshments, we served cookies and Coke. And then when it was all over, we helped pack up the trucks, reload the trucks at the end of the evening. Now, of course, now we can't do any of that because it's all unionized and we can't touch any of the equipment. And of course, since then, the Red Cross is no longer doing blood. But that was my introduction to Red Cross. The rewards as a kid were awesome. The Coke came from the Orangeville Bottling Company, where I did work for a time. Coca-Cola plant, and worked there during the summer. And at the end of the evening of blood donor clinics, if there was pop left over, we would be able to take a carton of Coke home, and that was just a great reward. But then after loading and unloading the trucks, on a really good night, one of those nurses would occasionally give you a good night kiss. And of course, that was really motivating for me at that particular time, got me hooked in as well. As time went on in the 60s, they asked me to manage the CELS program, which is a sick room equipment and loan service. It's a program that the Red Cross still operates in a variety of locations where we loan out sick room equipment. And then during the latter years of my high school in Orangeville, I took a St. John ambulance course, first aid course, and later switched to Red Cross first aid. And for a season before I left Orangeville, I was working part-time with the Orangeville Ambulance Service, just as a call-in extra body, and that worked for a period of time before I left Orangeville to come to Barrie. But that led me to become a first aid instructor, and then subsequently a redundant position now as a Red Cross first aid examiner. In 1979, I moved to the city of Barrie and joined the Red Cross Council. Not long before the historic Barrie 1985 tornado, which left 8 dead, and that was mentioned, referred to earlier on by Al. I was part of the emergency services team during those operations, was one of the first Red Crossers on the site at St. John Vianney Church, where the initial command post was established by Fire Chief Jack McAllister, and in charge of our Red Cross team was Doug Skelding. He was our chair, and we were able to deliver the largest feeding service in Canadian disasters following that tornado, as we fed the Mennonite crews that came to town to help clean up the streets and open up the streets. And as others came to do the tornado cleanup, we served for the next several weeks, feeding those who came to help. Red Cross along the journey as well also provided a lot of opportunity for training over the years, and that was a real bonus for me as part of the emergency services team or the disaster response team. There would be a number of doors open for further training and education. With that, I was able to do a few courses in the now defunct Emergency Preparedness College in Arnprior, later located in Ottawa. One of those courses that I took was on exercise design. And of course, all the emergency services are required to do an exercise to make sure they function properly when the real thing happens. So that course on exercise design was served me well, as I was able to help coordinate the emergency exercise for our local services. Well, Chief Randy Smith, one of your former Rotarians, was our local fire chief. And that exercise brought together all of the emergency services and agencies, fire, police, paramedics, the county of Simcoe, the ham operators for communications, media, and we all met at our church site to demonstrate coordination of services and went through a particular scenario. Later in the 90s, I continued to be actively involved in Simcoe County's Barrie branch as a member of the branch council. And we continued hosting blood donor clinics in Innisfil. It's interesting that we were the ones that initially initiated blood donor clinics in Innisfil. Well, in Orangeville, we would drive our car around with speakers on the roof and announcing up and down the streets that a blood donor clinic was coming. Please give blood. We couldn't do that as much as time went on. People didn't really want you to blast the streets with all of the sound equipment. So when we started them in Innisfil, we had rooftop signs and used them to announce the clinics, and just drove around town with the signs on the roof of the car. In 2000s, I was actively involved in the SARS response in York region, overseeing the Red Cross component of operations, serving all of those who were quarantined in the area, delivering meals and other support. I went on, we were able to assist the development and implementation of a passport to emergency preparedness, personal preparedness. It was used to help people understand that they need to make preparations for up to 72 hours in preparation for readiness for any major event. In the 2010s, my involvement included the Virgilwood evacuations in Barrie. That's, if you remember back, that's where there was a cache of firearms, improvised explosive devices, and chemicals found in a backyard bunker on Virgilwood Street in Barrie. And since then, I've been continued to be involved in the ongoing leadership and training and service delivery of the Red Cross programs, including our local program, PDA, which is Personal Disaster Assistance Program. There have been many other PDA calls as we respond to local personal disasters, house fires. We don't have a lot of floods here in terms of displacement of people, but we were involved in cold water where there were spring floods, and that seems to be a fairly frequent occurrence. We were involved in earlier highway pileups on the 400 highway, where we would drive up and down on the closed highway, serving refreshments to emergency personnel as well as those who would be stranded. A few years ago, I spent Christmas managing a shelter in Toronto during the famous Ontario ice storm that hit Ontario. And it just provides a lot of variety of activities. When I was thinking of some of the things that I've done, I'm often asked, well, why do people get involved in voluntary service? And I think there are several reasons why they do. And I think your organization, the Rotary here, obviously has a lot of wonderful people involved, and everybody seems to have a different reason for being involved. But I've broken it down basically into a few reasons. One of the most significant reasons I think we get involved is we actually think we can make a difference in our world. And I believe volunteers really do that. They make a difference. We do have an impact on the quality of life of others. We impact individuals. We may not make a big splash, but for that person, it has made a world of difference. We make life better for others. We help the most vulnerable. We invest in the present and in the future. And yes, as volunteers, we can and do make a difference. So that's, I think, one reason why a lot of people get involved, because they just want to make a difference. But a second reason people choose to volunteer, I think, is to gain experience in using our skills and abilities. I think, we don't like to be stagnant. We want to get out there and develop our skills and learn what's happening and use our abilities for something worthwhile. We want to put our experience to use. And so we choose to volunteer our time and our energy to impact others and to keep our skills current and active. The third reason many volunteer is because they've been affected or impacted by some specific cause. For example, a lot of people get involved in the Cancer Society because their family has been affected by cancer. And I can certainly go understand that. And my late wife died of cancer, and so the people that get involved are helping the cause to prevent the pain of many others on the road of life. A fire victim, for instance, that was helped by the Red Cross may choose to volunteer later with the Red Cross because they've seen the value of that themselves. And there are many great organizations that we can get involved with to make this world a better place. I just think in our community, Rotary Club is doing it right. You've got a strong team. Your eyes are always on others. You're always trying to do something in the community that is significant and important. And I think the Innisfil Rotary Club has done an amazing job over these years since you've established. Now, my life has been one of volunteering, and I'm the proud recipient of 2 Canadian medals for volunteering in Canada. And now, as already stated, a recipient of the Order of the Red Cross. But my primary reason for volunteer service flows from a fourth reason, and we don't normally talk a lot about this, but really it's a personal Christian faith experience, or a spiritual base is one of the main reasons why I am involved in so many areas. I look to the foundations of many of the organizations that have made a difference in our society, and they were founded from a faith-based organization. Organizations like the YMCA, of course, originally known as the Young Men's Christian Association, founded by strong Christian principles, yet embracing all members of the community. Organizations like the Salvation Army that serves all equally without prejudice or partiality. Institutions with a strong impact over the years were inspired by faith-based individuals. I look at universities like Harvard, named after a Christian minister. Yale was started by a clergyman. Princeton's first-year class was taught by Reverend Jonathan Dixon. And our own Ontario public education system was established in 1843 by Everton Ryerson, a Canadian Methodist preacher, minister. Habitat for Humanity, one of the largest charities in the United States, and present locally as well, internationally, provides housing for the poor, was founded by Millard Fuller, his strong, devoted commitment of faith-based humanitarian work. And then organizations like this one, the Red Cross Society, with a primary founder, a man of faith, Henry Dunant. Goodwill Industries was established by a Christian Methodist minister in 1902. And so as a Christian minister, I just feel like I'm in good company to be involved in volunteer organizations in our community to make a difference. And I'm so thankful for the opportunities that have been given here. And thank you so much this morning for the opportunity to share some of the work with the Red Cross. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you very much. Howard, does anyone have any questions for Howard at all?
And President Dean, if I just may make a couple of comments.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the evening that Howard was presented with the Order of the Red Cross, there was a Zoom meeting, and there was a lot of people on that, people in the community, and I was very lucky to be on that also. Chief Fletcher, you were there. We all had a chance to say a few words, but the words and the comments from the people that know Howard and have known him with the Red Cross through all these years, it was absolutely amazing. Howard, you've accomplished so much. You've done so much, and it's all to do with helping people. And that evening, I don't think anyone who was on that Zoom meeting will ever forget it, because you're a gem in the community of Innisfil. My wife and I were commenting later that we don't realize how lucky we are in this community sometimes. It was a great evening. There was some higher ups in the Red Cross that made some speeches, and I was most impressed. I thought I knew all about you over the years, but I learned a lot more that evening, and it was just great to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Yeah, there's lots more that I could talk about Red Cross. The picture behind me are what we call our sea cans. We have already prepared and ready to move at a simple phone call when there's an emergency. And we have a trailer that would hold, a mobile unit would hold 50 beds, blankets, and everything needed to set up a shelter for 50 people. The CCANs behind us, I believe, are 200 bed units, so that if there's an emergency anywhere in the province, they simply call, and this particular CCAN is shipped to that location and dropped off, and then our team goes in and sets up the complete shelter, all the beds, all the blankets, everything that's needed. It's a great system, and works when needed. We had interesting. There was an apartment fire or a townhouse fire in the south end of Barrie a couple of years ago, a few years ago, and when they called to get the shelter for all of the individuals, there was supposed to be at the Allendale Rec Center, was a pre-assigned shelter. And as happens from time to time, when you go to activate these places, there's just a breakdown in the system, and it's not available, or the people aren't available. And so at that point, we were already active as Red Cross team, and there was nowhere to take these people. And so we offered our church for that, and indeed we transported them down to the church. We set up the shelter in the gymnasium of the church, housed them overnight, and it was a little embarrassing for the city of Barrie, when they've got such facilities in town, not to be able to handle their own at the time. And they came back on the day after to check the shelter, and we were just so happy to be able to provide that service for them. Some of you will remember years ago, there was a train derailment in Lefroy, and we had set up our church again as a shelter and assembly area as well for that. And fortunately, it didn't escalate, and so we didn't actually use the facility, but it was set up and ready to go for that particular event as well. So there's a lot of opportunities to be used as a volunteer, and to get together with the experience of doing those kinds of responses.
Ann Smith, you were going to say something?
Yeah, hi, thank you, President Dean. Howard, I'm always amazed at the stuff that you're involved in. I don't know how you have the time to run your ministry as well, because your church has so many organizations that are really important to the town of Innisfil, and I just want to say thank you for everything you do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Chief Fletcher.
Yeah, President Dean, good morning, everybody, and great to see you, Howard. I'm so proud to be able to say that I consider Howard a friend, and only been in the community here for 7 years myself, but got to meet Howard very early on. And I just want to share a couple of stories, if I could, President Dean, just to give you a bit about, for those that, I know there's many people on this call that know Howard quite well, but you know, Howard does so much in behind the scenes, as many people talk about, but you know, I'll share with you just a couple of things that was mentioned when he was on when his family shared on the Zoom meeting that Alice talked about. But you know, I almost feel like I need to deputize Howard, because I understand way back when he used to drive around the community with his flashing light on his truck, and was often first at many collision scenes long before our officers got there, and was always providing help to people and setting up traffic points and doing what he needed to do. So there is a uniform for you at some point, Howard. We'll see if we can get you deputized and join the service. But on a personal note, when I moved here, my brother-in-law, who's also a minister, was on his way to a family wedding that he was going to be officiating, and he arrived at our house here in Stroud. And as he was unpacking his bags to get dressed, he realized he'd left his ministerial collar and his garments back at his home, which was 2 hours away. And a quick phone call to Howard was, "Hey, you know, can you help us out? Do you have anything?" And he very quickly connected with some other people, and we tried to find somebody that was the right size and the right that could help us out with an outfit and a ministerial collar. And as it turned out, we ended up cutting a margarine tub and making a plastic one that we stuff inside his collar just to officiate the wedding that day. But Howard was always a good friend, and a quick phone call away that we could make put me in contact with a bunch of people to help out a family when they needed. So thanks, Howard. You've always been a good friend. And I know just another little story. He showed up at our doorstep one day here at the police station with a gentleman that needed help. And, you know, Howard was doing whatever he could to help this guy. And finally shared with me. He said, Chief, you know what? If we don't find a home for this guy, he's prepared to throw a rock through your front window so that he can get arrested and locked up so he has a place to stay tonight. So I know, Howard, we're doing a lot in the community to try and find help for homeless people, and there's just not enough supports there. So keep doing what you're doing, and thanks for joining us in Rotary this morning.
Thank you so much, Chief. It's great when we're doing service in the community like we do. It's just great to know that we've got a lot of partners that work together, and it's not any one of us that can do it alone. We do need the strength of the partnerships, and so thankful for the partnership of South Simcoe Police for sure.
Tim, go ahead.
Thank you, President Dean. So, Pastor Howard, the one thing I wanted to say, you gave 3 beautiful reasons for volunteering, and I 100% agree with them. There's a 4th reason that I would love to be able to offer to you, and that's actually inspiration. We are often inspired by others to volunteer. I remember as youth, it was my grandparents being involved with volunteer efforts. My grandfather going around at Christmas with helping the Salvation Army to deliver turkeys to families who needed it. I remember those moments, and they inspired me to a lifetime of volunteership. And I would honestly say, I think everybody on this call will agree with me, that you are a true inspiration to the community for your volunteer efforts. And your story, as it gets out there more and more, will hopefully drive the youth who need somebody to inspire them to volunteer. You're one of those people who give that reason. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Tim. Kind words.
Anyone else have any other questions? Barb, welcome.
Hi, sorry I'm late, and sorry I missed your talk, Howard. I was at another Rotary meeting. Although I did ask him to record it for me, and he promised me he would, so I'll watch it a little late. Well done. I just wanted to say, I've been around a long time in Innisfil as well, and I, like Chief Fletcher, have some personal interactions with Howard that made me know he was the go-to guy when there was a problem. And it was very early when in my political career, a young woman, and I don't even know if Howard remembers this, but a young woman with a brand new baby had no baby things. And she had no formula, she had no diapers, and she called me because I was a public official and thought I could help. And I wanted to, but I know that's a dangerous precedent to set on a personal level. And that was the first time I contacted Howard, and I didn't know I was really talking to the manager when I got Beulah first and asked to speak to Howard. But I was able to provide some funds so that they could be bought, because at the time the food bank and the clothing cupboard was not nearly as strong as it is today. And so it wasn't me who delivered it, it was Howard or one of his minions, and got it to this needy young mother and the baby who needed the things. But that's why I so readily support and send people to that organization, because sometimes you don't want to be the one helping your neighbor or something like that, but you want to go and make sure it happens. And that's the place you can go. And you can always trust Howard's judgment on evaluating a situation when he or one of his people are there, that they can say, yes, this is truly a person in need and we need to help them more, or here's a one-time help, now straighten up. And I know that happens too. So I'm so sorry I missed your talk. I know it was fabulous, and I look forward to seeing it this afternoon.
Thank you, Barb. Appreciate that. There are many times where we help people and some would question and say, well, you know, you're giving stuff away to people who really don't need it, and I think it's so much better to err on the side of grace and mercy than to see somebody go without. And they're difficult decisions sometimes to know, you know, when to say no and when not to. But it's just great to be able to have the resources to be able to help whoever comes.
I think we have time for one more if anyone's got any questions. No, thank you very much, Howard. We understand you have a busy day, but if you'd like to stay, you are more than welcome to. So moving on to, I guess, old business. We had a board meeting last night. I know we've all worked hard over this last few years and we've raised some money and we haven't really done much with it. So the board voted on some decisions last night. I was looking to get everyone else's input on it. First one around a couple weeks ago, we got a request from the Season Center for their brick by brick campaign. So there's a growing support for need of grieving children with deaths of their family members by suicide or drug overdose. So what they help is grieving families that have lost a family member or a friend. They've asked us for $1,000 for the year program so they can help and reach out to more families. So the board agreed on the $1,000. So on this, was there any other concerns or from the members on this agreement? None. Thank you very much. On to the second one. We had a request from CARP. It's for Barrie and the Innisfil Senior Community Fund. What they do is they help seniors in the community to aid seniors 65 plus living below the poverty line, mostly women living alone. They're vulnerable, just like children are. If they do not have family to assist them, how can they possibly pay the rent, groceries, toiletries, medications, transportations, clothing, etc. So what they've asked the club is for $250 to help. And they've also asked, Howard, you may know as well, if there is a senior in need, they're looking for people to sponsor as well. So the club's going to hopefully make this an ongoing thing. I was going to reach out to Park Ridge to see if they know of anybody, but the club did agree to donate $250 to them as well. And last was the Water First project. Everyone, I believe most people were there when Steve Meadley came to do his presentation on the Water First project. Anyone unaware of what that was? I see no hands. Okay. So the board did vote that we are going to donate $1,000 towards the Indigenous program for the Water First project to help with clean water on the reserves. Anyone opposed to the board's decision? No. Thank you very much. That's all I had for old business or new business. Did anyone have anything to add before we do any good news rounds? Jen, go ahead.
Thanks, President Dean. I just wanted to remind everyone that the General Assembly meeting is coming up on February 23rd. We spoke about it a little bit last week, and Barb also sent out an email with some more information about it. Just a reminder to try to start having some committee meetings so we can discuss any changes. Anyone who's interested in becoming a board chair, talk to the current chair of your committee or talk to me, and we just want to be prepared and have a good team going forward for that February 23rd meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Anyone have anything else to add? Nope. Okay, we have a good amount of time this morning, so we'll do some good news this morning. Let's start with Ann Smith.
Really nothing happening here. It's too cold to go anywhere. I'm at the hospital today, but other than that, I'm just staying indoors and keeping warm.
Thank you, Ann. Jeff.
Same thing. There's not a whole lot going on. Go to work every day. Well, not every day, but every once in a while. And and yeah, the weather's cool. Just pushing a little bit of snow here and there. That's about the extent of it.
Thank you, Jeff. Pastor Howard, I know we just heard from you, but do you have any good news to share with us?
Well, the good news, I guess, is that yesterday I was at the dentist. I got 2 crowns and a bill for $4,000, and so insurance will pay for part of that, and I was able to pay the rest of it. So that's all good news, right?
I think it's the first time I've ever heard good news and dentist in the same sentence.
Yeah, I do hate dentists, at least the work they do. Good news, it's done. It's over.
That's great news. Jen.
My good news is that we found a backup kennel for the dogs. Pet Country Estates is where we've been taking them for years, but unfortunately they've been having some staffing issues, so they can't take overnights. And so we've been on the hunt for a couple of weeks now, but we did a meet and greet on the weekend, and we did a test doggy daycare yesterday afternoon, and everyone seems happy there. So we're good to go if we ever get to go away.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, Jen and I found a really good one out in the Alliston area that we use. John Shrepp. Did you not hear me? John, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Good morning, everyone. President Dean, thank you. Not much good news, just like everyone else. It's middle of January, nothing really happening. But looks like the trails, the snowmobile trails are starting to open, so we might be sledding soon.
Thank you, John. Brandy.
Got some good news. I've been kept busy and on my toes the past couple months. I was offered a contract with the Elizabeth Fry Center and I accepted it. So I've been there for majority of this time. And I've also joined the Barrie Outreach Van. So that's been keeping me busy in the middle of the night.
Thank you, Brandy. Teresa.
Nothing much happening. I'm just looking forward to seeing you guys next week.
Barry.
We had a birthday celebration for my last surviving aunt on my mom's side. She turned 100 on the 24th of January. She's quite a character. She's a firecracker, and she still lives on her own in her home, although she does have support from her daughter and grandchildren. But she's in good health, and just a delight to see her live this long, because she was a big part of our family.
That's huge. Al.
I don't think Al heard you.
Al, your turn.
Sorry about that, Dean. The phone just rang. So my news, and I've been very busy for the last month and a half, and we've got about 3 months to go. One of the big mansions on the lake, we're putting an addition and a renovation in, and we will have 22 bedrooms and 12 bathrooms. But the reason I'm telling you this story is the extreme cold. A couple of weeks ago on the Monday morning, it was minus 31. And they decided they wouldn't be able to pour concrete that morning. But about 3 days later, it warmed up to minus 20, and they poured concrete. And I was amazed because the guys are out there and they've got these suits on. There's a little red button on the front. And I said, what's that little red light on your suit? Well, these are heated construction suits, and they're battery packed. And these guys had them on, and I thought, my goodness, that's just wonderful. But so the fellows are busy working down there. I just supervise. I have an office in the main building, and I just make sure everything runs smoothly. I coordinate things, but it's been quite a chore keeping things running smoothly with this extreme cold. And of course, then the snow came. So we've got this big excavation with over a foot of snow. And that's a challenge to get this all cleared off, because it's all got to be done manually with shovels. And so it's been very interesting to watch, but it's certainly keeping me occupied, busy every day, and looking forward to the completion. It's going to be one of the biggest residences in the area. Thank you, President Dean.
Thank you, Al. And Kel.
Thank you, President Dean. Morning, everyone. It's nice to see all of you this morning. So my good news happened last Friday night about 10 o'clock. My newest grandson arrived safe and sound, and everybody is doing well. Interesting side note, he was born over at Stevenson Memorial at 10 o'clock Friday night, and they were home by 2 a.m. So I think the hospital is just overwhelmed. They had no room, and there was a pediatrician that happened to be in emerge for another situation and checked them out and said they were good to go. So they're all home and getting used to each other.
Wow, that's quick. My wife's not a big fan of hospitals. She wished she could leave there that early when we had both our boys, but they made her stay a couple days. So, Rob.
Good morning, guys. Nothing really new to report. I am alive today. Starting Monday, that could be a different story. I got a personal trainer to get some of this COVID weight taken off. So I'm optimistic about the results. Hate the journey though. So that's it.
A couple of people dropped off here and my whole screen just changed. I'm trying to go through to see who I missed. Karen.
Hi, President Dean and everybody. Not much to report, but I'm quite excited because I have been walking for now almost 2 years, and I am close to my 500-mile walk, about 180 miles from that. So that's what I'm excited about.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Eleanor.
Good morning. Word on the street that spring is coming. I have good news. I have an invitation to a wedding July 2nd in Vancouver. And that's my good news.
Thank you, Eleanor. Tim, did I get you yet?
Not yet. Thank you, President Dean. Good morning, everybody. Good news for me, though there's always a mountain of work, at least I'm on top of that mountain and the mountain is not on top of me, which is sometimes happens. So, but though I am now inspired by Rob and Karen's comments about, getting trim, because I definitely got to get in on that. So that's going to be my next mission to get myself healthy again. But yeah, otherwise, having a good day.
Thank you, Tim. Dougie.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you, President Dean. It is the time of season to be out sledding and get out on the boards. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of snow out there, so it's been a very late start to the winter, which has been a bit of a challenge. And now with the cold, it makes it even more challenging going to the ski hill because you can't really sit inside and have a hot chocolate and do all the things due to COVID. But it is what it is. Several people, though, have mentioned during this call that warmer weather is ahead. Last night, I was in the city at a meeting with a bunch of guys that I ride with, motorcycles, and we're starting to plan the 2022 riding season already and the different possible motorcycling trips. So we're looking forward to that. And then on another note, I think I've mentioned it before, is I'm also working with a group of Rotarians to bring a friendship chapter to our District 7010. And one of the low-hanging fruit is we're thinking about putting together a Rotarian motorcycle chapter for 7010 to be able to get out there and ride. So we're working on that. So any of you that either don't ride or do ride or know somebody that does ride, let me know. We're starting up a steering committee now and moving towards that. So hopefully going to make it a great summer as COVID hopefully backs off and we can get outside and do more things naturally. So thanks very much and have a great day. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, Doug. Barb.
Thank you. I've had the great experience now, 2 Rotary clubs in less than 24 hours to bring updates from the district, and you're the next victim, so I'll just schedule myself in. And we'll talk about that. I was really pleased last night that the board approved the $1,000 for the Water First project. Such a wonderful project that it's one of our principal reasons to do good in the community is to make sure people have safe drinking water. And this is something that I'm really pleased that our club is doing. I went and got my eyes checked and they're old. And so I have to get new glasses again. That's not good news, but now I'll be able to see you all better. That's sort of what I can come up with on that. And the mine too is the Y opens Monday, and it's time to get this month of relaxing off. Thanks,
Thank you,
President.
Barb. Thanks, Barb. Allison.
Good morning, everyone. My good news is I actually went away this weekend. You might be familiar with it, Bayview Wildwood Resort, just on Sparrow Lake. I do not associate vacationing with winter activities, but it was actually great. The rooms are beautiful. I went with my brother and two of my sisters and their families, and I really recommend it. There was ice fishing, tobogganing, hiking, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and the rooms are beautiful. So we had a great time. It was really nice to get away for 3 days. That's my good news.
Thank you, Allison. Janet.
Morning, everyone. My good news is, well, it's kind of good news in a way. My husband Ken flew out to BC to meet with a few of our high school friends to go skiing at Red Mountain. And then he's going to go to Whiteface as well. He'll be back really late on Friday night when he flies back. But what was interesting was he flew by swoop. And when he did that, he was really unaware, just of the limitations, but also having the COVID restrictions. He wasn't sure what he was going to be up against. And it turned out that he didn't have anybody sitting beside him, which was kind of cool. So hopefully he gets the same treatment on the way back. So, and then he's looking forward to going out snowmobiling. And I got snowshoes for Christmas this year. So I'm working on getting out and doing some snowshoeing.
Thank you very much, Janet. Katie.
Good morning, everyone. Really just happy to be here with you all. My kids are home this morning. Daycare is closed for COVID. But the good news that I have to share is I actually registered my oldest for junior kindergarten in September. So excited about that, excited for that chapter for him. And yeah, just counting down. It's 9 months to go.
JK, my kids are applying to universities, so I'm on the other end of the spectrum. Monica.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. I guess on the education side of things, those of you in high school probably know this already, or that have kids in high school probably know this already. But yeah, we got notice that they're switching from 2 classes a day to 4. So they're going back to what I went to high school with. So my son, who's in grade 10, is like, I don't know if I want to do 4 classes a day. I'm like, well, welcome to the real world. So I'm happy that things are getting back to normal. I had to explain to him, it doesn't mean you're taking, half a day, 3 hours of each class. It's like an hour and a bit, and you'll get through it. So, but to me, it's a good sign. Things are hopefully getting a little bit more back to normal.
Yes, back to semesters, not quadmesters.
That's right. Yeah.
Teresa. Teresa's disappeared. Let's jump over here and we'll go back. Chris Beggs.
Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to hear all the good news. Oh my goodness, and to have had Howard's talk is really expanded my understanding of what Red Cross does. I had a sort of, a fake aunt who was in Britain in the war with Red Cross, and Red Cross Club in public school. I don't know if anybody else did. We had meetings and we brought our weekly dues. Anyway, I got to eat with somebody else this week. It hadn't happened since November, so that's really exciting. And the other thing is, people love the cold weather. The LLD moth egg cases cannot survive this prolonged cold, which is why we haven't had the moth before so much. And so I expect this year we don't need to spray, we don't need to do anything. Mother Nature has kept the chill level appropriate, so anything that's above the snow probably will not survive, and just the ones that are on the lower bottoms of the trees will emerge next year, and we'll deal with them then. Have a good week.
Thank you, Chris. Teresa, have you made it back?
Sorry,
Did you have any good news to share with us?
I already shared my good news.
Oh, did you? Okay, then I missed that.
I'm
Sorry.
on my way to take the kids to school now. Have a
No
good
worries.
day.
When everyone dropped off, my screen jumbled around, so I don't know who I missed. Did I miss anyone else then? No, my good news is just that I'm excited that we get to start seeing each other in person again next week at the library. Other than that, it was great to see everyone this morning. Did anyone have anything else to add?
No.
No. Janet, did you have anything for us this morning?
Yeah, the Rotary Leadership Institute, which we've been running the third part in the past couple of weeks, is going to have level 1 again, starting on April 23rd. So any members that are interested in joining up with that and learning more about Rotary is great. I want to tell you, I am so proud of this club, because I've been doing the logistics now for I guess it's now going on 2 years. But what is neat is we've always had a really good contingent of participants from the Rotary Club of Innisfil. So for instance, we have Tim, Teresa, Dwayne, Jeff, Susie, and Debbie. Some of them are not here today, that have all done parts 1, 2, and 3, and are going to be graduating and getting the certification for the Rotary Leadership Institute this coming Saturday. I think it's a really great thing that not only are they learning more about Rotary, but they're also learning more about being a leader within our Rotary levels. So if anybody's interested in learning more about that, by all means, they can reach out to any one of those participants currently, but also anybody else that had gone through it. So Barb has gone through it, Doug's gone through it. So there's quite a few of us. I've been through it, Anne's been through it. And it's a really good way of learning. They can certainly tell you a little bit more about it and how much they got out of it. But on top of that, we can also contact the district and talk to Colin Thacker, who is our coordinator for that program. So, or you can talk to me. I know all about it. So hope to see others in that soon. You don't have to be a leader to be able to be in this program. So it helps no matter what you do.
Thank you very much, Janet. That's all I had. We still have a couple extra minutes, but I'll give you some extra time back in your day. Thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
See you all.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Dean. Everyone have a great day. You too, Howard. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Al.
Take care.